So the New York Giants have been the center of a couple of scenarios so far in the early part of this offseason, but now things just got real with Matthew Stafford. Last year, before the preseason started, there were a lot of rumors swirling around regarding Matthew Stafford, but now those rumors are on absolute fire. The Rams right now look like they are heading the direction of a fresh beginning, Cooper Kupp is on his way out, and Stafford's wife kind of already leaked that the family may be looking for a new beginning. And then we just found out that the Giants are hiring Bills wide receiver coach Chad Hall as their assistant quarterbacks coach. And in the tweet from Adam Schefter announcing this, he mentioned that he is the brother-in-law of Rams QB Matthew Stafford. I wonder why he mentioned that. Surely it wasn't just to get Giants fans riled up. There has to be more to the story. I do want to talk about these rumors and if Matthew Stafford at 37 years old could be a fit in New York, but to address the obvious, the number one thing that the Giants need to clean up is offensive line play. Without an offensive line, no quarterback is going to have a chance to be successful. Well, I guess Shedeur Sanders is used to having no line, but he is it. And even Sanders would not be able to do anything at the NFL level with no line. So however it has to be done, clean up the O-line, that's the priority. But yes, getting a new QB would be exciting, and it would bring a new hope to this city that has been longing for something to be excited about for quite some time. And Stafford isn't the only option. I mean, the Giants do have the number 3 overall pick in the draft, but could you imagine an offseason hypothetically where the Giants got Stafford, they picked up Travis Hunter in the draft, and then in free agency they tightened up the offensive line? That would instantly skyrocket the trajectory of this team, so let's talk about it. But first, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. We're on the road to 50,000 subscribers, and with your support, I believe that we can get there super fast. Alright, so Matthew Stafford, I know his name is gonna initially get some drawback from some of the comment section because of his age. I mean, with the timeline the Giants are on, why would they want an older quarterback? Well, let me just say this. The NFL is a league that is always changing, and in this era, we see teams go from worst to first every single season. I mean, the Commanders almost made the Super Bowl, and nobody could have ever predicted that. So if the Giants front office does the unthinkable and makes the right moves like fixing the O-line, maybe going all in for T. Higgins, maybe hitting on a few late round picks, and then they bring in Stafford, this could be a team with the young talent that they already have in Nabers and Tracy and a few other guys. This could be a team that goes from worst to first, or even just going from worst to wild card would be quite the story. And Matthew Stafford is not washed like Aaron Rodgers. I really do feel like he still has some life left in him. In a year that really was an up and down roller coaster for the Rams with many injuries, Stafford still nearly threw for 4,000 yards, coming up just short with 3,762. He also had a 20-8 touchdown to interception ratio, which isn't atrocious. I really do think that if you surrounded Stafford with Nabers, Robinson, Slayton, a rookie through the draft, and potentially Higgins, and you give him Tracy, who still is so far from hitting his ceiling in the backfield, this is a squad. But obviously I don't want to get too ahead of myself, and the Giants still have a long way to go to even get close to this point. But anyways, circling all the way back to the beginning of the video and the Chad Hall hire, let's talk about Hall for a second. Chad Hall is the brother of Kelly Stafford, which is of course Matthew Stafford's wife. He was the Bills' offensive assistant coordinator in 2017 and 18. He was the Bills' wide receiver coach from 2019 to 2021, and then he was the Jags wide receiver coach from 2023 to 24. He also played in the NFL as a wide receiver from 2010 to 2014. Now all of a sudden, Chad Hall is a quarterbacks coach. And for the New York Football Giants, even outside of the Stafford connection, I think this is a solid hire. But you really can't help but wonder what that connection could mean. Because I think the Giants are realizing there may not be the QB of their choice available in the draft. But if they took Travis Hunter, who could be a generational talent himself, and then they invest in a QB in one of the later rounds like a Will Howard, a Kyle McCord, a Dylan Gabriel, and then they brought in Stafford for a season or two while the young guy got to sit back and learn and develop, I think that would be a great plan for the Giants. This is what Malik Nabers had to say about the Giants' plan to get a QB this offseason. These were direct words that came out of his mouth. It's a pretty good riddle. I don't know if everybody will solve this one. I'm not giving it away a lot, but I feel like people know what I'm aiming for. And he also tweeted 9 and 10, which then gave it away. He then said, his arm talent is crazy, his sidearm is crazy, the way he throws the ball, his angles, it's crazy. He knows the defense, he's a veteran quarterback, he led that team to the playoffs without those receivers he was playing with at the beginning of the season when they were hurt. So it seems like somebody is a big fan of Matthew Stafford. And I remember when Chris Collinsworth was comparing some of his throws to Patrick Mahomes. Anyways, moving on from Stafford, let's talk about some other things going on around the Giants right now, because I'm sure everyone is glad this season is over. I know watching Saquon win the Super Bowl was rough, but it is what it is. All you can do is accept it and move on. The Giants front office made a big mistake, but now it's time to rebuild and learn from it. Another quarterback that has not been talked about much recently, but has been linked to the Giants, is Russell Wilson. At this point in his career, I almost view him as a lesser version of Matthew Stafford, but I think Russ would not mind trying out New York for a chapter of his career. And he's a guy that could keep the ship afloat. I don't think he's like a Stafford in the sense that he can carry nobodies to the playoffs, but if the Giants could provide him with some assets like a Higgins or a Travis Hunter, who could maybe play a few snaps of receiver with what the Giants already have in Nabers, I think Russ could succeed in that sort of environment. The Pittsburgh Steelers may have already made the decision on Russell Wilson, with national media reports insisting he will be allowed to enter free agency in March. Wilson entered last offseason as the perceived frontrunner. He had his ups and downs once he did take the job, and is now involved in a recent reporting suggesting that friction between him and the coaching staff emerged as the season came to its sour end. According to several sources, Smith did not want Wilson changing plays at the line of scrimmage like he did in Cincinnati, and deviating from the game plan, Wilson's desire to attack with the pass and throw it on the field clashed with Smith's run-first mentality, causing psychological friction between the two. So that is how these rumors came about, and like Stafford, if Russ becomes a realistic option, you gotta go out and get him, and then you have to get a young QB that can sit behind him and learn. That to me would be the best way to go about doing things. I was recently just looking at an article about the top free agents the Giants should pursue, and I'm very curious to hear what your thoughts are about some of these options in the comments below. One of the two options was Chris Godwin, who suffered a bad injury last season and is also aging. Chris Godwin has over 7,000 career receiving yards and 4 1,000-yard seasons under his belt. Godwin, while a key player in Tampa's offense, was always number 2 to Mike Evans. While he and Evans make a great duo, it seems that their time together is coming to an end, and since he has experience being a number 2 guy, he could potentially coexist with Nabers, but I personally would say no to this one just because of the age and other varying factors. And then next up was Travarius Ward and Hufanga from the 49ers. I'm not even going to go into detail on these two. I talked about this scenario a lot in previous videos. I'm all in on those guys, but another option was Osa Odigizua, a D lineman from the Dallas Cowboys, and that could be an interesting option. It definitely is a weird time of year. It's not fun when football ends, but now the offseason is here and it's time to speculate. So please don't get mad at me for some of the scenarios that I brought up if you didn't agree with them. All I'm doing is bringing up possible scenarios that could happen and that I think would be a good fit for this team. Let me know what you would like to see happen in the comments below, and thank you all so much if you made it to this point in the video. And if you enjoyed and haven't yet, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe, because your support truly does mean the world. And also, let me know what you would like to see next, and until then, I will see you all later.